That's just
All right, so we live right now. We are live right now on YouTube. BSN presents. I'll post the link up after we finish this. But Jared, I appreciate you for coming on. Lex, I definitely appreciate you for coming on. I got a couple things we want to break down tonight before we get out of here. It's going to be a quick show tonight. But in regards to what's going on with the canceling of the game, before we get to the Lamar point of it, into canceling the football game between the Bills and the Bengals. Yes, tragic moment that happened. Big ups to Mr. Hamlin on his recovery. As we all found out through the media today, that Mr. Hamlin is actually responding well to the treatments, hoping a speedy recovery. But we also got to do, and I like what Lex said off air before we got on here, we got to talk about what Skip Bayless said. Skip said the same thing that we all thinking right now, man. They should have played that game. And now with the NFL coming out just a few minutes ago stating that they will not replay that game or not continue that game and that game will be canceled, there are going to be a lot of questions, concerns, and issues moving forward for the remainder of this NFL season. Lex, I know you're on mute, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of use what you just finished saying. Maybe we should have went to the 16 games. I see you just took yourself off mute. You can go ahead and break it down for yourself real quick on what we were talking about with that new 17 game scenario.
Yeah, see, it ruined. If we had a 16 game scenario, what a lot of games that are coming up next week are now in serious peril, including Baltimore seeding, Kansas City seeding, Buffalo and Cincinnati seeding are all kind of like in a wrap, because you're going to have too many teams with a half game, with their half game seeding that they shouldn't be at, where they shouldn't be. The NFL's greedy. They wanted all these extra games. We probably would not have this Bills-Bengals game if it was a regular seeding, because they probably would have finished that game, this season, last week.
Mm-hmm.
So the NFL wanted that unnecessarily. When we spoke off air, I'll say it again. A lot of people were upset at Skip Bayless because Skip Bayless said what a lot of people are saying now before y'all started saying it, which is they wanted the game to be played because they're asking for the game to be played now. More and more people are talking about it. More and more people worried about their parlays, more about their bets, more about all this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of a sudden, all those people are coming back. 24 hours ago, they were ready to fire Skip Bayless, get him off the air, tear him apart. Now they're, my seedings, where my team going to be at? Stop fronting. Y'all care about the game. Y'all want the game to be played. Y'all want to see y'all really concerned because the Bills in Cincinnati were serious AFC contenders this season.
I told, not to cut you off, but I totally agree with everything you're saying so far, because now when you just said in reference to seeding, the team that actually benefits the most out of this whole situation is the Kansas City Chiefs. And the crazy thing about it, that's the poster boy of the league. It's Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, if it would have been roles reversed, and not saying that the tragedy wouldn't have stopped the games. Let's understand this, because I'm kind of in Skip's mode right now. Skip Bayless said something right after the game. His timing may have been wrong when he said it, but he's stating a fact. He stated a fact. It's all about business and winning. Buffalo beat Kansas City. Cincinnati beat Kansas City. Those two teams were playing for a potential shot at being the number one overall seed in the AFC so that the championship game would come through them. Now we have a situation where Kansas City is pretty much not even worrying about the AFC title game, because you still got to play the games to get there, but they get the extra bye week that nobody's talking about. Kansas City, as long as they beat the Raiders on Saturday,
which is going to happen,
number one seed, and they will have the official bye week for being the number one overall seed in the AFC. That's something if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, that's something that if you are a Cincinnati Bengals fan, that you should be upset with, because your team doesn't even get the extra week of rest. You get where I'm going. And Jared, I know you sitting there and you watching this as well. This is a very big stipulation that really is messing up a potential championship for those two teams. And we get it. We play sports, we understand it. Yes, you got to win games through the season so you don't put yourself in this situation late in the year. But they had an opportunity to play a game to continue to win. Right now, that statement of all games matter doesn't matter because obviously the NFL didn't care. They didn't care enough to say, you know what, let's make this right. Let's make this right. And I don't think they made this right with this decision, cutting this off today. And it ain't about the parlays and the sports books. It's about the football games itself. This is a big issue.
I think they're scared. I think they're scared of the backlash right now. And I think they're probably severely surprised at how much people are actually responding to they want to see the game played. I'm going to say, I spoke to a couple of my peoples about a couple of years ago. I'm going to say about, let's see, has it been 30 years? The Jets game where Dennis Byrd injured his neck. I was a kid watching that game on NBC, and we saw that man shatter and fracture his neck on live TV.
Right.
Teams were doing what they did, like they did on Monday night, praying, sitting there. We saw that ambulance. They thought that man would never walk. We thought at best case scenario, we thought he was paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life.
Correct.
They continued with that game.
I'm going to give you another game, Lex, that I know a lot of people don't remember. Michael Irvin, his last game in Philadelphia. He broke his neck on the field at Veterans Stadium. How the Eagles fans responded was very disrespectful, but however, that man could have been paralyzed for the rest of his life, but they continued that football game. We've seen this happen so many times now. The one thing I will say, we've never seen a man actually die on the football field. Hamlin had to be CPR 2 different times before they evacuated him out of the stadium. So we get that. We definitely get it. We're in a new era of what we live in this world. However, with that being said, this is still a business. This is still a business. And right now, the NFL made a business decision to say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and forfeit that game and just play it out. It kind of tells you they don't care about the extra games when it matters to them. It doesn't matter to them because they made their money.
It's going to matter. It's going to matter when a lot of people buy backlash if Kansas City makes it to the Super Bowl, and everybody's going to put that asterisk on game on them. Because especially after last year, everybody expected we really wanted Buffalo to get that number 1 seed. Especially after that game last year.
Now you would have seen that game that everybody wants to see, which is Buffalo versus Kansas City
Not just that, Kansas City actually looking on the road in a. When's the last time Kansas City has been on the road in a playoff game?
They haven't.
When they had Alex Smith,
and that was against Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, was they even on the road today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex,
yeah.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah, Andrew Luck. Look how many years that's been.
Yep.
So people don't want. Look, as much people wanted Kansas City to go through a battle. Are they going to? Most likely, they're going to blow out the Raiders ridiculously. I don't expect.
I'm gonna say this because right now, what it looks like it's going to be Kansas City going up with the bye after they beat the Raiders this week. They will then play the lowest remaining seed. And my personal feelings that the lowest remaining seed will either be the Jacksonville Jaguars or the team that they will wind up facing, which will be the Chargers, the LA Chargers. That's who they will get. And now we're getting into the Ravens part of what I want to talk about. Right now, no matter what happens with this Ravens-Bengals game this week, the Ravens cannot get the 3 seed. The Ravens are actually hoping that the Denver Broncos can beat the Los Angeles Chargers so they can get to the 5 seed. And I don't see that happening. The Ravens will be the 6 seed this year against either Cincinnati or Buffalo, depending on how those 2 games play out, which is Buffalo playing against their rival in the Patriots and the Bengals playing against their rival, which happen to be the Baltimore Ravens. There is a lot of moving parts moving forward. And Kansas City, again, is about to get the easiest road possible because of this situation that the NFL have presented to us with the Bills and the Bengals not playing that game. Go ahead, Jared, because I see you just came back on. Go ahead, Jared. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying that this has probably been one of the craziest, not just seasons, but one of the craziest endings to a football season that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, to add to your point that you mentioned about no matter what happens with us in Cincinnati, I, I saw something, I read something on Bleacher Report. I cannot remember the guy's name. I cannot remember his name. But he put something on Twitter that said that based off of the Ravens-Bengals game, that if the Ravens beat the Bengals, that home field advantage for that game in the playoffs would be determined by a coin toss.
And that again makes no sense. That makes no sense because I get that, yeah. But that would still be wrong. And again, it would go back to the original point of this topic tonight. If you play the Buffalo game, we don't have to worry about a coin flip to determine who gets home field. Also, if we don't play this game, the Ravens still shouldn't even get the coin flip because they got 6 losses, and the Bengals would only have 5. This is what I mean. You have to make something right. 17 games is not good. This is why you don't do 17 games. Right here. This is one of the why. This is one of the right. Now it's funny we saying we shouldn't play that 17 game because last year there was no hiccups with Bryce about the 17 game, but we had a tragedy. Okay? We had a tragedy that happened on the field. However, the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry. They can make moves and make things happen if they want to. They don't want to because to me, what it looks like, we're going to let one of our poster boys of the league have another chance of shining at home. We're giving Kansas City a home playoff game in the AFC Championship game right now.
Do you think, business-wise, is that worth the investment of losing a game?
To me, no.
I don't think so either. That's why I think this game. I think this game is them being pressured by everything else than it is for money. Because if this was more lock and key on the money, again, if we were playing a 16-game season, this game would not happen. This game would have not been on the schedule. Mm-hmm. These games this week would have been happening last week because they always end the season. Most of the season usually ends with you facing your division rivals, majority of the time. Right. So this game would not have been on the schedule. But now,
hold on, Lex.
The NFL really want to do it right. They have the space to push a week away and give Buffalo and Cincinnati that game. They have the time. They have the week.
Let me chime in on that though. So in regards to what you're saying, you're halfway right. So the Bengals were supposed to actually play the Bills because both of them won the divisions last year. So this would have been a division matchup. The extra game would have been, they wouldn't have had that non-conference game when you add in that extra team to come along and play. So, and like, I think it was like an NFC team that the Bills and Bengals both respectively had to play.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying.
But even still, this game needed to be played. And I'm not saying that game needed to be played today. It needed to be played Thursday, which was today, or even be played next week, which I think it should have been played next week. But with that being said, we can't allow teams to basically be pushed around into the playoff scenario because that's what's going on here. It doesn't affect the NFC at all. There's no effect on the NFC. But the AFC just got turned all the way around. All the way around. To the point that right now, in my opinion, we could have an asterisk for the Super Bowl champion.
Absolutely.
Because Buffalo did their job. They won their respective games. They beat the team that was in front of them. And they like, well, we got a shot. Even Cincinnati, they still had an outside shot, even though very slim, to get the number 1 seed, and they still got a strong possibility of getting the 2 seed. And then you look at a team like Baltimore. Baltimore was, even though they blew it, in my opinion, last week against the Steelers, they had a shot to get to the 3 seed. And we have all that in play. I just said Baltimore now has no shot at getting even to the 5 seed unless the Chargers lose to the Broncos. That's not happening. So Baltimore is going to be stuck in the 6 seed. So now let's look at it from Baltimore's perspective. If I'm John Harbaugh, do I play my starters? Do I leave my card out there for the Bengals? Because no matter what, you're going to be stuck there because the Chargers are not going to lose to the Broncos. They're just not going to do it. So it's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of moving parts here right now.
Let's see. Do you think the Chargers are going to play for the win?
Yes. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, they want that higher seed.
Because you got to think about it. Right now, they're locked.
Denver looks like food to them right now. So
not even just that. They're locked into the 5 seed right now. If they win, they're going to play either the Jacksonville Jaguars, who was a young football team, have no experience at all in the playoffs, or they're going to get the Tennessee Titans, who's beat up. All their players are hurt. So, and I get any given Sunday, Saturday is the playoffs. I get it.
No. The Chargers got that.
I'm happy that I'm in the 5th seed right now. I am ecstatic that I'm in the 5th seed right now.
The Chargers might have one of the best wild card lineups right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, remember, that's also on paper. Let's not get it twisted. It's on paper. But
that Jacksonville is pretty much lock and key. That Jacksonville game is pretty much it's.
So you're picking Jacksonville right now to get the 4 seed.
Yeah. I see Jacksonville taking that.
Nobody better pick the cardiac cats, man. I be picking them all year long, and everybody laugh at me. Jacksonville came right around when it mattered most.
Yo, out of nowhere, they've been sneaking up wins like out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And low-key, Pittsburgh did too. Pittsburgh was sneaking in some wins out of nowhere, but nobody, like Jacksonville did it the right way. Nobody's paying attention to them. And then you just pay attention. Oh, wait a minute.
and like even that, injuries are a big part of this situation. I get it. Hamlin got hurt. But we see injuries all the time in the league. This is the first time that I've seen them actually cancel a game. And I think the biggest thing with this cancellation of this game is that it was on national TV and we knew what was on the line. We knew what was at stake. So once we see that they change up and they say no game, and now looking at other reports that just came out as well, that if the Bengals or the Bills were to make the AFC title game against the Chiefs, then the AFC title game would be played on a neutral site. That doesn't matter.
Makes sense.
The whole purpose is you wanted to have the home game if you played all season for the home game, so you could go get your home crowd to be the quote unquote 12th man.
That robs those teams' fans from getting that opportunity.
And it also robs, I'm gonna be real, it's also gonna rob the Kansas City Chiefs fans as well. Because if they are the number 1 seed, why not give them the home game? Why are we changing up? You that's the whole thing. Like I see somebody else on there. I'm not gonna say their name because I know we don't do that here on BSN. But if you want to chime in, young man, you could go ahead and say something more there because I don't see no faces. But I know it's one of my peoples. So if they want to say something, they can talk in. But I just think it's kind of hilarious. I think it's hilarious that we are making this decision. The NFL, by the way, are making this decision out of nowhere just so they can keep their playoff schedule right. Because that's what it's about.
It feels like Roger Goodell making like suspension rules. Like he's just like whatever, just get it out, just get it out of the way, just to save face.
Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of add on to what you said. It almost sounds like Roger Goodell is making a hasty decision, and for me, like you said before, like, it makes no sense to have the AFC Championship game at a neutral site. Just give Kansas City that game. That, like, it's almost like the NFL makes things more difficult for themselves than it has to be. Now, it's easy. Now, it's easier said than done for me as a fan to sit here and say that. But if you have Kansas City as the number one seed, why is it so difficult for you to give them the AFC Championship game at home when they've had it at home the last 4 years? It just
because right now you're trying to save face by saying we're going to give you Buffalo or Cincinnati the opportunity to still balance it out because you beat that team earlier this year. That's where they're doing this wrong at. Now, I know people are upset about Skip Bayless when he made the same statement, but that's basically what we're doing right now on BSN Presents. We're doing the same exact thing. We're saying, what are they going to do? Now, they made their decision of saying no game. Cool, no game. Now you got to deal with the backlash from fans, from, honestly, sponsors, because ESPN didn't get that game. They lost out on it. They lost out big time. So, and now with all of the rescheduling that's getting ready to happen, and it's crazy to me because even during COVID, they played every single game.
They played
games to the point that it was games played on Wednesday and then turned right back around and played them again on Sunday. So you can't tell me that you can't get it done if you really want to get it done. I know I put it out there. I didn't put it out there on video, but I'm putting it out there now. I said, what was wrong with extending this playoffs 1 week, moving it back 1 week so they can get this game, and then saying, cool, we're going to shut down. Instead of us having a media week for the Super Bowl, we just go straight into Super Bowl. Because that's how you fix it. Oh, no, that messes up money. Now we're getting into the financial business side of the NFL. It's going to mess up money. They have games scheduled for a reason the way that they do. But in the end game, Buffalo and Cincinnati teams are the two teams that's going to feel the worst out of this because not only do they have to play these games this week, both of them know now they don't get a bye. They don't get a chance to actually recover because I'm going to go devil's advocate. And I know everybody keep wanting to get on and say something. I'm going to go devil's advocate. What if Hamlin would have passed away? What if he'd have passed away? And now we got to go to a funeral. Buffalo would have had that week off if they'd have played that game, right? They go ahead, ooh, let's figure this out. They would have had time. You don't have that now. Everything is going quick now. But that's the same thing we was just talking about with the Jets injury from the back in 1990 with Bird. Same injury from Michael Irvin. The game continues. That's the business. Anybody else?
We had a player who passed away in preseason for the Minnesota Vikings a couple of years ago. I forgot his name. I know he had mad dreads, and they didn't end preseason. They didn't. Like, I'm sorry to say this. Like, the NFL always kept it moving. So this, like, I think they really fell for people. They for the first time I ever felt like the NFL really just fell for public pressure. And now this was actually not the public pressure they should have felt for.
Yeah, this is very shocking. This is very, very shocking because I'm shocked.
I expected the game to have been made up. And I totally forgot about that media week because that media week would have been perfect. Because let's be honest, nobody cares about the media week except the media.
Well, the sponsors, because now you got to think on it. What sports is going on during that week that's really, prominent? There's nothing.
NBA.
But the NBA is not really worried about that because don't they go to the All-Star break right after that? So there's nothing going on. So I see both sides of this. I'm always going to look at both sides of it. I get it. That week where ESPN, Fox Sports, all of those networks are like, yo, we got something to talk about for a week leading up to the game. Let's say something crazy happens during the week leading up to the game, things of that nature. We get all that. Now, it'll be a great story. And I'm gonna keep it 100. it would be a great story if we were able to see Buffalo versus Cincinnati in the AFC title game. But we don't even get that now. The only way we can get that is if the 7th seed beats the 2, and that ain't gonna happen because that's Buffalo, right?
Yeah, no, it can't happen. At minimum, they'll play the week before.
They'll play in the divisional round. So we've lost all these different scenarios and opportunities that you could get if they played that other game. We lost all of that. The NFL took all of that away. So now I'm gonna go to the next. Go ahead. Go. What you guys say? I'm trying to get them order. Everybody up on the live. I put the link out there for the group in Baltimore Sports Nation because I'll be wanting everybody's opinion on it. But you don't come on if you ain't gonna say nothing. Don't say nothing. Go ahead, Jared.
Okay. I agree with what you said earlier about you felt like the NFL could have squeezed this Bengals Bills game in.
Missed it, shut up.
And I thought, and this is my thought, I was thinking of the Bengals Bills game being the last game of the regular season for split.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the no.
That was my original thought. That maybe the NFL could find a way before the playoffs to get the Bengals Bills game to be the last game of the regular season and have the regular season end on that note, and then you go right into the playoffs like you said. But as we all know, now that's not going to happen, and I got to be honest with you. It's just me being real with you guys right now, okay? I would not be mad at all if the Bills somehow messed around and found a way to win the Super Bowl. I honestly would not be mad at that at all because they've been through so much crap this year. I honestly would not even be mad if they won it. I honestly would. That's just me as a football fan. But what do I know?
Oh, right now they're the people's favorite. Like the people want them.
They've been through so much crap this year. Mm-hmm. It is ridiculous how much they've gone through. Mm-hmm. And now with this, come on, man. I wouldn't even bat an eye. I would actually be really happy for them because obviously, as we all know, and at the start of the 90s, they went to 4 straight championships. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls, all-star 4. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they went to 4 straight Super Bowls, lost all of them, and haven't been back since then, and now that they have the team to do it outside of losing Vaughn Miller and guys like that, they have a chance. They have a legitimate chance to do it because of how crowded the AFC is and all these other teams beating up on each other. That, like I said before, I would not be mad at them at all. And to be honest, I would actually probably root for them to win.
You know what? Honestly, in the NFC, the only team I saw that could give them a serious problem, would probably be San Francisco, because I thought Buffalo had out of NFC. I see Buffalo could beat pretty much all the teams coming in the playoffs, including my beloved Giants. And the team I said, like, it'll be interesting if Buffalo goes against Minnesota, 2 teams who both went 0-4 in the Super Bowls, to go against each other.
Hold on, you just said the Giants is your squad? Come on, Lex, man. You gotta stop that. That's disrespectful.
Oh God. Don't even start with that, Jones, Greg. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
On the 100, right? On the 100. Let's just keep going.
Don't do it. I don't even want to get started on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones reminds me of
it's a lot of
more athletic.
Bro, it's a lot of moving parts with these teams going on. It's just that I don't like the fact that the NFL decided out of nowhere to make a decision. That's what I didn't like. I didn't like that decision.
It was, they show more and more that they make hasty, bad decisions. They make so many. They've done it. It made no sense. It really made no sense. I really think people would have accepted them replacing that game. And I think now people, if you go on Twitter, you're going to see more people asking them and demanding them to play that game.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they're going to do what they want to do.
What to do? Yeah.
And the decision has already been made. I've never seen them say, you know what, we're going to change it after we made a decision. Nah, because they've sat down for a couple of days to decide on what they were going to do. And they made their choice. Their choice was let that game chill. We're not going to play that game anymore. And we're going to go ahead and just continue business as usual. And that's cool. That's fine.
Do you think, especially if Cincinnati and Buffalo do not make the Super Bowl, whoever wins this out, a lot of people are going to throw asterisks on this, like the NBA bubble championship. A lot of people is not going to respect, especially if Kansas City makes it out the AFC. A lot of people are not going to respect this championship from them.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, because football is probably the most team-oriented sport that you have to have because you have to have continuity to get everything done, right? And I'm gonna just keep it 100 because that's what we do here on BSN. The Chiefs have been the team that's been pretty consistent all year. After the beginning of the year, they were a little rocky. They lost that game.
Oh, we losing them. Yo, we lost you, G.
Yeah.
Team right now, the Cincinnati Bengals, but the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, baby. They got Andy Reid, they got Patrick Mahomes. They win 13 games every year.
But
I know me and Jared.
We wanted to see them on the road, and honestly, let's be honest, we were completely shocked that they lost to Cincinnati last year because
they can't go on the road if they keep winning football games, though.
But they were set to not be the if Buffalo had won last week, we were set for Buffalo getting the 1 seed, which we all pretty much believe that they've deserved because Buffalo, and for the past 4 straight years, Buffalo and let's say probably Tennessee have been like right underneath Kansas City's heel. Mm-hmm. So they finally overcame that. Like they finally got a chance to get above them and have that. It always felt like, all those years where Indianapolis was always behind New England. Like they finally, or Baltimore was always behind New England, where they finally got that chance to be like, all right, we got you this time. This is our year. So this felt like that year for Buffalo to finally get, we saw Goliath go down last year.
It still feels like to me, it still feels like this year for Buffalo. It does. It really does.
An injury like this messes up a team. Like it's going to mess. I don't think you're going to see the same Buffalo for the rest of the year. Their psyche, I really think their psyche is done. I think head-wise.
But you know what?
I agree.
You know what? Be honest with y'all. I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all. I'm gonna compare Hamlin's injury to Hank Gather's tragic demise when he passed away from irregular heart. Mm-hmm. And that team, Loyola, went on to the Elite Eight in NCAA basketball and college basketball. Buffalo may center all of their energy around all of the things that have happened to them over the last 4 years. And now this could have been the closing moment and say, you know what? It's our time. And let's do all of this together and hold this trophy up. Not only because of the stuff that they've grown together and been through, but let's do this right now for Hamlin as well. Because like even this year alone, watching them dominate the Rams on opening night on Monday Night Football and then do everything that they did to get to that point and then go back and then say, all right, cool. They've had the dramatic win when they had to come back and win against the Lions of all teams on Thanksgiving Day. Let's not forget that, right?
It's still a great game.
They came back and won that game.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Kansas City. They lost Von Miller for the year with the ACL injury. Now you had this tragedy that happened. Maybe they all come together and say, you know what? We know that they're against us, Let's go win it. Because it could be done. I truly think it could be done. Not saying, and then even in Cincinnati's case, they've been through a lot of turmoil this year. Whole entire offensive line is revamped after last year when they went to the Super Bowl. Jamar Chase gets hurt Mixon gets hurt mid-season with a concussion. They start to lose a lot of their guys on defense. But they still hot. They still beating everybody. And then we have this tragedy. Because, look, we all keep talking about Buffalo and their psyche. What about T. Higgins and his psyche? He pretty much almost killed the man on the football field.
Yo, you see people threatening him on Twitter like crazy.
Over him playing and doing everything correct. He did nothing wrong.
It's like he ran like Hamlin tackled him and fell. So
exactly.
It was for people to really be out like threatening dude is insane, like beyond stupid. You're 10 times more stupider than what you feel like Skip Bayless was, like for saying that stuff against dude. Like dude was playing a regular game. He did a regular play. He got tackled. He came down. Nobody thought anything of it until we saw my man faint.
Right.
And collapse. I'm sorry, where he collapsed. So for people to be out for Higgins makes no sense. It's stupid, beyond stupid. But again, I will say this. As Cincinnati pulls through, I could get it. But I really think it's going to be a big feeling. A big hole is missing in Buffalo's team right now. And I don't know if because of what happened, like if he had just guy like a torn ATL, he snapped his foot, something, you'd be like, all right, he'll heal. But this type of injury,
because that's the norm. I totally agree with you.
This type of injury is going to mess with their heads on the field.
Ain't it crazy?
Yeah, they saw it. So imagine all them other defensive players when they're going to tackle. Think of the next cornerback who has to make a tackle or safety. They are shook. I'm telling you, them players are going to come out. They're going to be wearing bulletproof vests underneath their stuff.
I'm gonna say this. Mm-hmm. I think they are a little nervous. They're going to come out a little nervous. But after that first hit, and they feel like everything's okay, because sometimes that's what you need. As a basketball coach, and I know with girls we get injured. You know, my girl might get injured here and there. I'm like, look, go to the basket. When you get your first knockdown, somebody touch you, a little bit, you'll get back to the feel of the game. That's the same thing that's going to happen with the Buffalo Bills. Once they get one hit, feel like, oh, they're back in the game. All right, cool. We okay. We here now. We back to a little bit of normalcy. But it's so crazy how we can look at it and say, well, if it was an ACL injury or a broken ankle or a broken finger, we good with that. But because they're not used to seeing a man actually collapse after delivering a routine hit, after hitting a routine hit. So hopefully with the way that this playoff is going, it's going to be okay. But I know that it's going to be a major issue if something doesn't play out correctly. And that's basically wins and losses for the Bengals and the Bills. Now let's go into my next point on this topic before I get off this live. And that is the Baltimore Ravens quarterback, as you see on my profile background picture, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been out with injury to his knee for over a month, and he was scheduled to return within initially reports to 4 weeks. This is now, I believe, the 5th week that Lamar has been out. I'm going to ask the panel right here that we have on tonight, my man Jared, my man Lex. Do you think we have seen Lamar Jackson play his last football game in a Baltimore Ravens uniform?
No.
Okay.
No. In all honesty, can I be real with you? Is there another coach in the NFL?
That's it.
Is there another coach you see in the NFL that would give Lamar the keys like John Harbaugh did?
Yes,
I don't think so.
But I don't think so. I don't see that happening though. Yeah.
The only other coach that probably would have already has is Kansas City, is Andy Reid. That's the only close second. Everybody else is going to add changes to his game. They're going to say, no, we need you to do A, B, and C, pocket. John Harbaugh says, you do what you do, and we'll work with it. And it's been like that ever since he let him play. So I don't see if he's smart, he will do his best. If Baltimore's smart, they resign him. If he start smart, he stays in Buffalo. This is the best coaching team for him, the best coaching staff for him. They let him play his game without. I mean, in all honesty, we can say he's improved in somewhat, but he's really been pretty much the same player for the past, let's say, 3 seasons.
Mm.
It's kind of his, after his rookie years, just this next couple of years, he's pretty much been the same player. Hasn't really improved, hasn't really digressed, just been the same player. Other teams will be like, nah, we got to improve him. We got to change him. We got to flip him. Don't see it working out. He needs to stay there. Don't end up.
I'm gonna get my response after I hear Jared. Jared, go ahead. What's your thoughts?
Okay. As far as your question goes, have we seen Lamar Jackson in a Ravens uniform for the last time? No. Let's just throw that out there right now. No. And I've been saying this for the longest time. And this is, and for me, it's just as simple as this. I've seen so many people. I've seen the media just take this situation with Lamar being hurt and take it way left or take it way right. Okay? It's just as simple as Lamar has a PCL sprain. This injury that he has is simply just taking longer to heal than I'm sure the Ravens expected, than he expected, and then a lot of us fans expected. Now, I've actually seen Lamar on the sidelines a few times. I've seen him a couple times since he got hurt. He doesn't have any crutches, anything like that. I think he has a knee brace on under his pants. And this is just my honest opinion. This is just my honest opinion. I don't believe, obviously, he's not going to come back until that PCL has fully healed. Because think about it like this. If he comes back, say, a week earlier than he should have, that sprain that he has could turn into a PCL tear. Now you're dealing with a completely different situation than what you originally were dealing with when he first got hurt. And with people in the media, with ESPN and FS1 throwing out, and I even saw a clip on YouTube with people on Get Up literally asking the question, is Lamar using this injury as a tactic in his contract negotiation or in his contract talk? That I refuse to believe that he's doing that. Like I just refuse to believe that he's doing that. I just don't think he's doing that. Like that's just me. And I think it's just as simple as Lamar is not going to step back on this field until that injury fully heals. And I don't believe he's going to play with that brace until he fully knows that, okay, this injury's healed. I can take this brace off, and now I can go play. That's just what I think.
Y'all got to roll, fellas. Have a good one. I'll catch you on the YouTube tomorrow. Peace.
Bro. Appreciate you. So I'm gonna hit y'all with this. This is how I'm gonna go with it. If he's not 100% right now, which he won't be, if he's not even 80%, like you just said about his knee brace being on, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not coming back. You know what I'm saying? He's just not coming back. So, and I'm only going off of this season. I don't think that Lamar Jackson will be playing another game this year for the Baltimore football Ravens today. Now, that could change tomorrow. That could change on Saturday. It could even change the following week. But right now, today, looking at it, what's going on, I don't think he's coming back to play. One reason why I don't think he's coming back is because I agree with what you just said. He doesn't trust his knee enough to come back and play at the level that Lamar Jackson expects himself to play at. So he won't come back and half-ass the team because he doesn't want to half-ass winning and be basically a shell of himself. However, with that also being said, I've been saying this all night. It is a business. It is a business. Lamar Jackson and his camp knows that if he comes back and he's not 100% and he re-injures himself, he's going to lose out on money. He's going to lose out on money. So why would I come back and I have no guarantees that can guarantee me that I am going to be back in this saddle as the quarterback with financial backings for a long-term gain? Go ahead, Jared.
Okay. When you said that just now, so pretty much what you're saying is that you believe that Lamar is not stepping back on that field until he gets his money. That's pretty much what you're saying, right?
What I'm
saying.
What I'm saying is, I don't feel as though Lamar Jackson is going to step back on the field. One, because he's actually really injured. If you watch the injury itself, when he fell, he could barely walk up the steps. I don't think Lamar Jackson is coming back at all because he is legit injured. And I also think that Lamar Jackson's business side is, why come back when I have no contract? That man has no contract right now. After this week, Sunday, even though they have a playoff game, after this week, he technically doesn't have a contract that says I'm guaranteed for next season. So why am I playing? Why am I risking injury that can put me in a spot where I don't even get the money that I'm looking for? We already know we ain't gotta go into the numbers on what he wants, but it's just the fact of, why am I putting myself at risk if I don't have to?
You and all the rest of those people say the same thing about Lamar. If I was Lamar, I would not step back on that field until I get a contract. But here's the negative to that. Okay? Here's the negative to that. I get what you're saying, and it makes sense. Okay? I just want to say that to you. It makes sense. Okay? But here's the negative to that. Or the negatives to that. If you don't step back on the field without a contract or without a guarantee of a contract, that would be a bad look on your part, because number one, it looks like being selfish, even though it is a business, and I agree with you, it is a business. Number two, it looks like you're leaving your teammates out to dry to a degree. Outside of the fact that he's hurt, it would look like he's leaving his teammates out to dry because you haven't gotten your money yet. And I don't believe Lamar would allow and I get, and like you said before, the business side is the business side. I get it and I understand. Makes sense. But I just don't believe that Lamar would allow the business side to make it seem like he's leaving his teammates out to dry, or it makes him look selfish on his part. Does that make sense?
I get it, but I'm gonna disagree with that, because first thing that I'm saying in my mind, why would anybody think that because the man who legit got hurt would be selfish by not coming back earlier from an injury? That's not selfish. That's smart.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about the injury. I'm not saying that Lamar needs to rush back based off of his injury. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Lamar not coming back because he ain't getting his money, that would look like he's being selfish, and that would look like he's leaving his teammates out the job.
That's not what's going on here. In my opinion, I don't think Lamar Jackson is coming back, first of all, because he is legit hurt. Second of all, he's not coming back
Right.
because he's not going to. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, we both agree on that part that Lamar's injury is taking longer than expected. Yeah.
Yes, his injury is different because remember, as much as people hate to say this, but he is a mobile running quarterback, so he can throw.
Yeah.
But his gift is his elusiveness and his skill set, what he plays with. If he doesn't have that total dynamic, especially with the way that this offense is predicated right now, it's not gonna be a good look for him to come back because now it's gonna be like, bro, like everything has got to be in the pocket. He won't have the threat of running because of his legs being injured.
Right.
So there's bigger risk going on right now. With that being said, in this now the next part of it where you don't agree with me, and I respect it, but I gotta say this as a business man that Lamar Jackson is because he is the business, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Why would he risk?
Yeah.
Why would he risk coming back? Why would he risk coming back if he doesn't have nothing outside of a franchise contract that's guaranteeing him to say, yo, I'm going to come back and play next week, even though my leg is not right? And you can't, and this is to me, Baltimore fans. We can't sit there and say, oh, well, if he don't come back, because I'm not saying you, but I've heard this from a lot of people. Oh, well, if Lamar don't come back, that shows that he's selfish. Well, shit. Didn't he just finish giving everything that he got for this team over the last 4 years? And he legit gets hurt. And look, the last 3 years of his career, he's finished the games injured. 3 years ago, AFC divisional playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. He didn't finish that game, left that game with a concussion. Last season, gets hurt, misses the last 6 games of the season. He's out. The Ravens go 8-9. This year, been hurt. He's missed the last 4. Now it looked like it was going to be 5 games. He's out. He might not even make the playoff game. All I'm saying is we can't say, oh, well, he's selfish because he didn't want to play because of a contract. I never said that. I want everybody to understand that. I've never said that he doesn't want to play because of a contract. What I said was, why should he come back and risk more injury when he has no guarantees from the Baltimore football Ravens? They're not paying him. Let's not forget that. They're not paying him this year. The deal is not on the table. So why would he risk coming back when we know business that the Ravens would say, oh, he's hurt, we're going to move in a different direction? Because in the NFL, it stands for not for long. Let's not forget that. Let's look at all of that.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to say this. Yeah. And it almost seems like people kind of forget this a little bit, but if you, Greg, individually obviously haven't forgotten it, then this doesn't apply to you, right? We all remember when Lamar put that deadline on him and the Ravens having contract talks from I want to say from the time training camp started all the way up until week 1 of the regular season.
Right.
And Lamar said this. He said this. He came out in the meeting. He said that once him and the Ravens get to week 1 in the regular season, play the Jets, contract talks are off.
Love it. I loved it. Yeah.
Right. And also here, but here's the thing. I believe, and maybe this is just me being naive. Maybe I'm just being blind, just stupid. I genuinely believe, and there was an article like going back, like right after that deadline ended. There was an article that came out from, I think it was ebonybird.com, and said that due to Lamar and the Ravens not coming to an agreement on the contract, that Lamar and the Ravens will wait till after the season to bring up discussions on a potential contract extension. Fast forward to where we are now. I haven't heard the Ravens or Lamar mention it, which is why I believe, and I've been saying this for the longest time, that I believe that Lamar and the Ravens will come to an agreement on a contract extension. And it's not an issue because the Ravens and Lamar, once the season started, it became a non-issue once that deadline hit.
Mhm.
And I believe, and I truthfully believe that not all people in the media, but some in the media have forgotten about stuff like that I just mentioned. And I believe that Lamar's contract situation is an issue because I remember watching a clip on FS1's YouTube channel with the show Speak with Joy Taylor, Will Hellman, Shady, and Emmanuel Acho. And they brought up the question of is Lamar Jackson's contract an issue? And I thought to myself, I'm like, no, it's not really an issue because the Ravens and Lamar haven't made it an issue since they ended contract talks at the start of the regular season. It's only an issue because you guys are bringing it up as an issue.
Now,
Why it's an
I don't think it's an issue either. And that's not even where I'm going at. Not about the contract. It's about the player.
You get what I was trying to say, though.
Yeah, I definitely get it. But it's not about the contract. It's about the player.
Yeah.
As a player, why risk more injury when you don't have a guarantee? Right. That's my thing that's going on right now with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. He's a player first.
Right.
He is his own business. Why risk an injury if you have no guarantees? Yeah. We're going to continue this conversation again tomorrow. We're going to continue this again tomorrow. It's been BSN Presents. Jared, I appreciate you coming on. Lex, I appreciate you coming on. I got to get up out of here. I'm going to holler at y'all later.